Brian Windorst is right next to me. Adrian Wojnarowski, our Ultimate NBA Insider. He'll be with us shortly. Brian Windorst, let's get right back to it. So you've heard what everybody has to say. Just remind our audience of how serious and dire this situation appears to be in the eyes of the NBA right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is the biggest threat the NBA has faced from a health standpoint, maybe ever. Today, just today is an example. They had a conference call with owners. I was talking to people in the league. They don't remember this ever happening. You know, owners meet 3 times a year as scheduled. It's hard to get billionaires on the phone. The fact that they had to do that, just that alone, just that fact alone tells you how out of character and off the grid that this situation is. But I'm going to just say that I know that a lot of people are really upset, and I know there's a lot of people that are panicking and things like that. Let's look to what's happened elsewhere in the world. In China, they shut their CBA, their Chinese Basketball Association, down at the end of January. They have taken 2 months to deal with this crisis. They wanted everybody to remain indoors, to quarantine. Their cases have come down, flattened out, life is returning to normal, and they are now calling players back and intending to begin basketball again in the next couple of weeks. This is obviously going to affect a lot of people. It's going to affect a lot of people who have tickets who want to go to games. But ultimately, they're going to take the steps that they were shown, and we're going to end up being okay. We just have to get through it.
Woj, when you hear what Wendy just said, it calls for the potential of a delay in the ending of the season as possibly a worst-case scenario. How receptive is the league to that, in your estimation, considering the fact that there was an owner just weeks ago who talked about how the league should start in December and end after June? What do you make of that, Woj?
Well, you know, Atlanta's president, Steve Koonin, he's talked about that idea for years and brought it up again at the Sloan Conference. There hasn't been support for it, but what you're hearing now and what needs to happen is there's going to have to be a lot of cooperation around the league right now. If games do get lost with how to salvage this season, this is a year where the league's going to lose a lot of money. Going back to Daryl Morey's comments, what that caused the league with their relationship with China, and then now the money that's going to be lost here. And one group that really hasn't been a big part of this conversation that's got a call with the league tomorrow, the league's general managers, their presidents, you know, the people who deal every day with the players, and I think they're going to have to be involved in this. They know more about this league day to day and how it operates and how competitively some changes in the rest of the season might play out. They know that better than their owners do. So there's a lot of people who still have to be a part of this conversation because this is uncharted territory for the league, and there's going to be more difficult decisions that have to be made.
Wendy, we've heard on many, many occasions the commissioner and league officials allude to the partnership that exists between them and the players. How much, if any, input at all will the players have in decisions that are being made? And if not them, whom?
Yeah, I think one of the things that is happening in the league right now is there is a strong feeling of cooperation between the commissioner's office and the players. There is a real, equity that exists there between those two sides. And so I really believe that they'll work together on this. They will rely on their crisis situation and get through it and align. But I think the players, as LeBron showed over the weekend, they weren't really even thinking about this. You know, Matt Barnes was saying earlier today, he went to a birthday party for Draymond Green over the weekend. The word coronavirus was not mentioned one time. Yet here we are just a few days away from having radical changes to the league. So I think the players are going to rely on the leadership of the league, which is why the league's got to spend some time to get it right.
I know this much. I'm relying on you and Woj. Way to bring it, y'all. Really, really appreciate it. In Oklahoma City, Donovan Mitchell, the Utah Jazz, getting set to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. As it currently stands right now, Utah and OKC would meet in the first round of the playoffs. And obviously that brings me to my next guest, Royce Young, covering the Oklahoma City Thunder for us. He joins us right now. You were just at head coach Billy Donovan's pregame news conference. What did he say about the coronavirus and the impact that it's having on his team?
Stephen A., he acknowledged how everybody's pretty nervous about this situation and just the bizarre fact of the scene and how it was set up pregame with reporters backed away 10 feet from a podium. Quinn Snyder, it was the same thing. And if you just look around the arena, Stephen A., and just the way that this is kind of unfolding, it's a weird situation. You know, Steven Adams had to alter his pregame routine. Instead of sitting in the locker room like he normally would, he had to come into a media room, sit down at a podium. The first thing he did is he looked over at the Thunder's PR guy and said, "Has this been wiped down?" And he said it with all sincerity, and he was told, yes, it has been very thoroughly. But, you know, one of the things as you look around this arena is just the inability to really contain this with fans in it. You know, I just talked to a ball boy that was rebounding for Donovan Mitchell and Danilo Gallinari, and I asked him, did they tell you to do anything with the basketballs? Were you supposed to wash your hands or sanitize the ball? And he was like, no. I didn't have to do anything. If you look out in the crowd, you see fans throwing a little soft basketball, one by one, going all around, taking turns, just touching the same ball. You see players sitting off to the side in the same seats that fans will sit in watching film. So you can kind of feel the way that it's going to be difficult to contain this as long as fans are in the arena.
Great insight. Really appreciate it. Royce Young, our reporter, our Thunder reporter, live in Oklahoma City right now. Thank you so much. Tonight at 10:30 on ESPN and the ESPN app, Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans are in Sacramento to take on the Kings. Both teams are chasing the Grizzlies for the number 8 seed in the Western Conference. ESPN Pelicans reporter Andrew Lopez is with us in Sacramento as we speak. He joins us now. Andrew, you were at the team shoot-around this morning. What were they saying about the possibility of playing in empty arenas due to the coronavirus?
Well, Zion Williamson walked in, kind of looked around and figures, oh, this is how it's going to be now because of the press conferences, and sat down and he said, it's not going to be fun, but he understands why they're doing it. Alvin Gentry tried to have a little bit of fun with it. He marked out 9 or 8 feet on his cell phone before getting up on the podium, but they also understand. Nobody really likes this situation. They understand that the fans are the lifeblood of what they do. Brandon Ingram talked about having to come up with his own energy now because there's not going to be any fans in the arena. So the Pelicans, they understand what's going on right now, but they're not necessarily happy about it.
That's Pelicans reporter Andrew Lopez in Sacramento. Thanks so much, Andrew. The coronavirus is affecting events all over the sports world. For more on that, here's Kevin Nagandi and Sage Steele.
Stephen A., we've been wondering for a few weeks now exactly how the spread of coronavirus would affect the sports world. But today, when the World Health Organization declared that the global coronavirus crisis is a pandemic, that word changed everything.
Yeah, and the biggest story of the day, the NCAA has made an unprecedented move. The men's and women's NCAA basketball tournaments will be played without fans in attendance. NCAA President Mark Emmert said in a statement this afternoon that all championship events will take place with only essential staff and limited family in attendance. While the plan is to keep the first round sites as is, Emmert says they're looking to move the Final Four out of Mercedes-Benz Stadium into a smaller venue in Atlanta. Regional sites could also be moved to smaller venues but stay in the same city. Emmert putting out this statement that reads in part, quote, "I have made the decision to conduct our upcoming championship events, including the Division I men's and women's basketball tournaments with only essential staff and limited family attendance. While I understand how disappointing this is for all fans of our sports, my decision is based on the current understanding of how COVID-19 is progressing in the United States."
And now the Big Ten and Big 12 conference tournaments beginning tomorrow also will not have fans in attendance, just essential staff and immediate family. That is it. The Big Ten's announcement came just hours after it said it would allow fans. So much is changing literally by the minute. Also, the Warriors tomorrow night, they will take on the Nets in Chase Arena in San Francisco without fans. The first NBA team to do that, as so much has happened in the upper northwest part of this country. The Mariners, speaking of the Northwest, Seattle Mariners will move all home games out of Seattle through the end of March, and actually the beginning of April. It's the first 7 games of their season that will not be played at home as scheduled. For the record, the number of coronavirus cases in the U.S. has topped 1,000, with the number of deaths at 31. So is this disappointing to sports fans everywhere? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter right now. So many more important things. Stephen A. Smith, I know you agree with us.
Yes, I do. Coming up, as the legend of Luka continues to grow, we'll tell you how the Mavs star's historic start sizes up to other NBA greats. Plus, find out which of these NBA moments will land on my